All right. Good morning. Good morning. All right. I already said it, but it is day one, week 5 of January. Somehow it's the end of January already. I'm gonna go ahead and do a little spotlighting. We got me. Mora will be up first. So, I this was very last minute. I was like, wait, we have to hear from these people this morning. And so Valerie should be popping on soon. We're gonna hear from Valerie, who is a very new agent and went to Powerhouse. I also sent a message out to Carolina, who's typically on our Saturday calls, but I also, I kind of this is like a little last minute idea, but we will get started with Maura. I don't have any like specific questions. I would love for you to just share about what your experience was like, kind of what you are integrating as you're coming out of that. Literally anything that you want to share. I might have some follow-up questions. And I see Valerie just popped on, so we'll hear from Maura first, and then we'll hear from Valerie second. But yeah, I'm gonna mute out, and Maura, I'll let you take it away.
So the first lesson I took away from Powerhouse is that I can work in a chaotic environment. There were, I think, all in all, 40 plus people in the two houses, well, three houses. But the main area that we worked in was where like everyone was. It's where the carriers were, it's where HQ was, and then a ton of other agents working. And to say that it was loud is an understatement. There were cowbells and bells being dinged when appointments were set. So I'm leaning into that right now and talking from my kitchen with my entire family at home. Um, the other thing, I think the biggest takeaway I have is after that is condensing your activity to, let me start that over. I set 19 appointments in 2 days. I usually would set in the last 2 years, not my first year, but my last 2 years, I probably set at max 10 appointments for a week. And that was usually like over a course of a number of days. So being able to see what's possible when you focus, and I will say very honestly, I wasn't dialing the entire time. I actually did not have high dial numbers while we were at Powerhouse because I'm working Razor Ridge leads. But I was doing a lot of helping out and having conversations with other agents. I had a lot of conversations with HQ and the carriers because I've been here long enough to know like there are certain stumbling blocks that I'm coming up against with carriers and specific applications that I had them as a captive audience and I wanted to talk to them. So I have to tabulate my total dial numbers for the week, but I believe it was under 300. Um, and to be able to set 19 appointments in 2 days with under 300 dials, like Maura a week ago was like, no, that's impossible. That can't happen.
Hey, can I interrupt you real quick just for I didn't even
Yeah.
think about this, but for people who might not know who you are, can you just say quickly like how long you've been here and who you are? Do your
Yeah.
hierarchy, Jam?
I've never had to do that on a call before. Um, I have actually been here 3 years. Yesterday was my 3 year anniversary being with Symmetry, and I am Director Christina Watts. In the Kelly Bush, Jim Larson, Jamie and Corey, Susie Neighbor, Sarah and Jared Reinecke, Pogue, Marshall Whalen hierarchy. I got to get better at that.
Great. Fantastic.
um, and I'm a team leader and at 95%. So I've been here for some time. I've done some things, I've seen some things, and this was really to jumpstart my business. And I can honestly say that it did that. Um, there was a leader there at AO, Chelsea Kanai, that shared in our group chat, like, now that you're home and you're back in your life, don't lose um, all of the motivation and the determination, and don't forget about the goals you set here because you're just back into your life. Like, continue to show yourself what's possible. So I have a lot more that like I'm processing about what went on and how we did things, and but that those are probably my biggest takeaways right now. And we're all exhausted. So because the sleeping arrangements were really fun. It was like going to Girl Scout camp. Um, so if Carolina's not on here, it might be because she's still asleep. So
Amazing. I love that. I think for especially just for the moms, which we know there are many of in our agency, that story or that idea that we tell ourselves that like, oh, like I do that. Like I can't work. Like my daughter's 3 and she's very clingy. And the second I divert my attention, she literally wants to be on top of me. And like last night I dialed and she was on top of me and like nobody died. So that I think that that really resonated for me just in terms of like what stories and excuses are we creating that we don't even see them as the stories or the the lies that we're telling ourselves that are holding us back. So I love that. 19 appointments in 2 days is just incredible. So we're gonna hear from Valerie next. Valerie, are you ready? I know you popped on a few minutes late. As I mute myself out. Yep, you're good.
Okay.
I'm gonna put you on the spot to do your hierarchy if you know it. Just go as far as you can, but introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, how long you've been here, and your hierarchy.
I'm Valerie Patterson. I am in North Georgia, just about an hour-ish or more north of Atlanta. Um, so I only live like 30 something minutes from like Kelly and Jake Bush. Um, but anyways, I got hired with Symmetry in October. I had taken my license test in September. And so I have mainly been working warm leads, like warm market. I did the warm market challenge. And so I've kind of been putting off dialing, like actually buying real leads, dialing them. I think maybe I've dialed like, 30 leads over a course of like 30-minute sessions, like a few times. And so coming into Powerhouse, I felt and knew that I was like stepping into a space that I was felt so unqualified for, right? Like in my how I imagined Powerhouse was going to be was like all of these, you know, super top producers, which they were there. But I was expecting the majority of people to be that way. Like they had it down pat. They're buying these super, fresh leads. And so I just felt so just like inferior, not inferior as in like my value, but just in my, time being an agent, in my skill sets. Um, well, I will say the biggest thing that just kind of going into this was the gratitude I have for our leaders to make experiences and opportunities like this accessible to anybody. It doesn't matter if you are day one of being hired at Symmetry or if you are 3 years in or 5 years in or however long, 10 years in. And that every single one of us, regardless of our contract, commission rate, regardless of our leadership level, um, we are all experiencing challenges and struggles on our own level that we are needing to overcome and break through. And so my breakthrough was I just need to sit down. I need to actually buy leads and just sit down and dial and listen to people who are experienced dialers and hear what they say, what tone of voice they're using, the questions that they're asking in just those first couple, like literally seconds of the phone call when you have contact with someone, and become confident in that. And that is the first step. Like I went into Powerhouse and like the first night we kind of wrote all of our goals on different, sheets of paper and they're all over the walls. Like the whole living room was just like sheets of paper all over it with everybody's goals. And I had all of these like production results based goals. Like I want to write 5K and I'm going to, submit this much and, just all of those things, which are great. Like we need to have those. But I realized very quickly that you can't have a result unless you actually start the process, right? And I think that's common sense. But for a lot of us, we're setting all these production based goals, but we're not even calculating, okay, how many leads, how many dials am I going to make? How many leads do I need to buy? How much do I need to invest time wise into this? How many appointments do I need to set for in order to be able to do that? So how many, how many do I need to close in order to be able to do that? And so it really does start with just like on anybody's level, whether you're purchasing Razor Ridge or, A or B leads, or all the way down at the totem pole, like I was, like CIGs, it all starts with picking up the phone. Well, first buying the lead, right? And picking up the phone. And so if you can overcome that hurdle and become confident and literally so brave, like it is so brave to pick up the phone and call someone that you don't know and that has a high percentage of telling you that they don't even remember doing what the ad said and filling it out and all that stuff. um and so yeah, I just celebrating your small wins, because they might seem small to somebody else who's like further along. But if I don't celebrate the fact that I dialed over 200 dials in 3 days when I've never done that, then like, yeah, I don't know what happened, but anyway, just yeah. So those are my big takeaways. Is like loving the fact that our company, our leaders, make training accessible to us, and not just training, but the fact like they will come and literally invite you to sit down and listen to them, and not just okay, listen to me because I'm so good, but like. And then be like, okay, hey, you do a couple of dials and let me hear what you're saying. Let me see how I can help you, how I can coach you. Maybe we can tweak this verbiage. Maybe we can, whatnot. And that's huge. So I would just say if you have the opportunity, like, so if you're going have the opportunity to go to Ignite, if you have the opportunity to go to these small gatherings, if someone lives near you within 30 minutes to an hour, and you want to call them and be like, look, can we meet for coffee this day and do a work session together? Like, ask for the help that you need. Because we're in this it can feel very lonely since we're all kind of all over the place. We're working from our homes or our offices or whatnot. And so it can feel super lonely, but we don't have to be alone while we're doing it. So I would just say those are like accessibility, take advantage of that, and celebrate the small win. Like regardless of whether, you think it doesn't matter. Like if you did it, celebrate it. Like, no, that's what I say.
Oh, that's so, so good. And I think it's such a testament, especially because you came in and rocked Warm Market, y'all. Like, she didn't just like work Warm Market. Like she worked Warm Market. Like she hit her first promotion. She finished it up. She was like almost slingshot, but she wrapped it up in like the first week of December. She got it done. And I really just like I'm so proud of you for going in there because it would have been so easy just to be like, "Oh, that's not for me." Right? I'm not there yet. I've never dialed before, so like I can't go to this. It was basically like a dialing event, right? Um, and there's a couple things that I want to respond to that you said, Valerie. The first one you said, if you have the opportunity. I want to encourage everybody to not just take advantage of these opportunities when it's convenient or when it's comfortable, but to create these opportunities for yourself. Um, if you haven't heard me talk about like getting to Ignite, getting to conferences is really, really challenging for me as a single mother. I make it happen. I don't do it because it's convenient, because it's in my backyard, because it's cheap. No, it's going to cost me probably 2 grand just to get myself, my daughter, and my sister there who's going to watch my daughter while I'm there. Do I have that money? No. Am I going to make it happen? Absolutely. And so I would even say, like Maura and I, we live 10 hours apart from each other. And we've talked about doing a day where we drive 5 hours and meet in Pittsburgh and work together for a day, right? Because we know the power of that proximity and working together. So, I love that of like, if you can do it, but like also make that opportunity for yourself. Like create that opportunity. Don't just show up for these things. Like don't just show up in the workroom when it's convenient. Like show up with your camera on in the workroom even when like you've got the messy bun and you're wearing your pajamas, right? I think that those opportunities are so invaluable. And in terms of celebrating the small wins, you guys, for those of you who've been here, we've talked about this before. if we don't celebrate the small wins, we're not going to know how to celebrate the big wins, right? And if we just like let the small wins pass and like, oh yeah, well, like I don't need to celebrate that, or I need to move on to the next thing because it's what I'm supposed to be doing, or it's what everybody else is doing, or it's no big deal. What's going to happen is that when we hit that big goal, we're just going to be really quick, right? You hit the promotion, you hit the leadership status, you close that really tricky sale that took months of underwriting, that fully underwritten gets issued, or you pivot 14 times before you finally get somebody into a policy that's going to work for them. Like if we don't stop and pause and celebrate those little things, we're going to miss out on the joy and the celebration of the big things. And then what are we here for, right? Like we all deserve to bask in the joy and the celebration. And something that I'll never forget, I went to a Tony Robbins in-person event once, and he has a whole bit of like, you don't need a reason to celebrate. Every single day, you can throw a party, you can hoot and holler, you can but jump around, you can celebrate the fact that you woke up today. And the more that we get into a celebratory energy, the more we're going to create things that are worth celebrating. So I think that that is massive. And I'm celebrating both of you, everybody who went to Powerhouse, but specifically, just because I know kind of going in what you guys both went into Powerhouse with and what you're coming out with. And it is so immensely valuable. And to hear from both of you, right? Maura, who's been here for 3 years yesterday, Valerie, who, what has it been? It's not even been 6 months. And you just started dialing leads. I think it's just so incredible. I do want to read. Okay. Maura said this trip was not convenient. But you would do it again. Yeah, absolutely. Laura had a conversation with Jim, which is always impactful, about reframing how you view goals and strategies and targets. Your goal is the life you want to live, and the work you do here is the strategy. That is so powerful. Maura, do you want to unmute and just say a little bit more about that? And then we'll wrap this thing up, you guys.
Sure. So I have big goals. That's one of the things that I talk about with our leaders a lot. Like I set really big goals for myself, and then when I don't hit them, because like Valerie said, sometimes I set them and I'm like, oh, what do I have to do to hit that? Not what I'm doing. Um, and Jim helped me realize that my goal isn't elite producer, AO, all that's not my goal. My goal is the life I want to live, the financial freedom, the choices I want to be able to give my family. That's the goal. Symmetry and the way I get here is the strategy. And so I'm personally changing the way I speak about my monthly goals. They are now my monthly targets because the goal is the life I want to live. These are just the ways that I get to do that. And I get to be flexible with my strategy, but I'm not flexible on that goal. So I have to do what I need to do to get there. And that was really impactful. And I needed that because I set a big production goal for there and I did not hit it, but I hit my appointment setting goal. And he's like, look, that's part of the strategy. So, and yes, I think Marie has a question.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mara, for that. I
Of
think that's
course.
really powerful. And yeah, Marie, if you've got a quick question, then we're gonna wrap this thing up. I'm not gonna be hanging out, you guys, just today. I know typically I do hang out for a little bit. I'm not gonna have the opportunity today. I've got an appointment I gotta prep for. But yeah, Marie, feel free to unmute if you've got a question.
Yes, guys, I do apologize if you hear background noise. I'm on the walker, treadmill. But my question for you both is, what kind of course, I'm going to ask that. What kind of leads that you guys that you get to buy for yourself, and how were you able to do the presentation with all that noise around you guys?
I'll go first. I buy Razor Ridge only right now. I've worked every lead source that we have available to us at Symmetry in the last 3 years, but Razor Ridge is my sweet spot. And I use noise canceling headphones, but there were a couple that I had to go and like leave the main area and grab a leader to come with me if I wanted them to listen in to run my appointments. But I ran I think 5 in the midst of chaos and just said, like, I'm at a work event and we're all here learning to make this better for you as clients to learn more about insurance. And they were like, cool, it sounds like you guys are having a great, great time. There's cowbells going off in the background. So
Okay, so you made it part of your presentation, basically. And I'm
yes,
not familiar with Razor Ridge. What is that?
they're a digital lead source. So
Okay.
Marie, if you want, I'll put my cell phone number in the chat and we can chat. That
Okay,
way,
perfect.
yeah, of
Thank you.
course.
What about you, Valerie?
Marie, I was actually buying like the lowest of the low, like CIG, so call-in G, which have been like recycled for, I mean, potentially months to years. So I've had this conversation with Marcy and with Cree Patty like multiple times over the past few months, and I've like contemplated buying leads, and I'm like, I think it's easy, especially when we're starting and we're seeing the potential of not only the number of families we can help protect, but the amount of money that we could make, right? And all of us came into this with making like this is a job, right? We're making money. So I think it was easy for me, or my mindset was, hey, like, why would I purchase a CIG lead that I might never even lead to anything? If I could purchase maybe a fresher lead that will could has a higher potential to lead to a closing and a sale and an issued APV. Because I'm like, I need to make money. So why would I call a lead that has, a lower amount that's not going to make anything? But it was so great because Kelly Bush was there, and I asked her kind of a similar question. Not just in that, but I was just kind of like, hey, these are the leads I bought. Like, is this? And she was like, that's perfect. Like, oh, okay. Because we have to think, I love how Mara said, like, she's worked every level. She didn't just start this and jump right to digital leads or even, the higher up like A's and B's. And so I think it being at Powerhouse and just it reminded me that when our leaders and even the Quility leaders and Symmetry, like when they say purchase bonus leads in the beginning, they mean purchase leads, bonus leads in the beginning. Like if a hop, skip, and jump to like a Razor Ridge lead right now, not only am I going to be spending exuberant amounts of money but I don't have that skill set yet. And because I'm the kind of person that's like, oh, I can learn anything super fast and just kind of like, fly by the seat of my pants, if that's even a saying anymore. Um, like that's kind of my go-to is like, I'm trying to get to the point where I can make the most money as possible because I'm kind of in that position that I need it. But if I don't start with CIG, and even if I work those leads for 2 weeks and then I move up a level and I work those for a few weeks and I work up a level and I work those for a few weeks. And then the more I dial and the more opportunity I have to actually say my script, to talk to a real person, I'll become more confident in what I'm doing. And then at one point, when I'm going to purchase a $25 lead, whether that's a year from now or 9 months or 6 months from now, I will have the skill set I need to close that $25 lead, right? Yeah, Jeanette, like it's step by step by step. And so I would just say purchase the cheapest you can at the skill level you think you are at. And that was honestly was like the biggest thing. Like this is a training. At each level is a training. Like, and think of it like the least amount of money you can invest into your training in order to get the quality of training you need, like that's where you should start. Because Kelly was like, I would rather you have a 60-cent lead that leads to nothing, right? Or a $2 lead that leads to nothing, than a $10 lead or a $15 or 25 or $50 lead that leads to nothing. Because then you just invested $50 into one lead when you could have purchased 100 leads for that much. So especially with someone who is like on a very low budget, like I don't have a lot right now to invest into leads. So the more that I can get, the more opportunity I have to actually contact people, right? So if I was going to spend, $50 or $100 on Razor Ridge, that's like four leads, maybe 2 to 4 leads, right? But I could get, if I want to spend $50 on a CIG or a CIF, I can get like 80 leads for that much. So if I had 80 opportunities to get in touch, well, not 80, that's more than that, right? Because you're dialing 3 times. But if I have 80 opportunities to get into touch with someone versus 2 or 4 or even 10, like just go for whatever gives you the most opportunity to get in touch with someone. That's what I would say. Sorry, that was a novel.
Okay,
No,
Valerie,
it's
but
great.
how were you able to do your presentation in that chaos?
Hey, Marie, I'm really, really sorry. I have an appointment in 3 minutes. I gotta hop, and so I gotta be on Zoom for it. So if I put the link for the group me, so I would love to keep this conversation going. If you guys want to hop in that group me, if you're not already, and if you have more questions for the people at Powerhouse, I gotta do some 3 minutes of underwriting and hop on this 9:30 appointment. But I am so, so grateful for you guys for your shares and for just your generosity in being here. And I love that you guys are engaged and want to keep this conversation going. So I will be in the Mac room after my appointments. But I love you all so much. Happy Saturday. Happy day one. Go kill them this week. Wrap up your goals. And we will see you guys in the Mac room and on accountability. Bye, everybody.